Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Fuller, and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. The need for affordable housing in Greater Cincinnati is real, and a quick look at the numbers will say it all. The GAP report is put together by the National Low Income Housing Coalition. I want you to listen to this. In 2023, nearly 86,000 were classified as extremely low income renters. But there were less than 32,000 affordable homes available that year. Now, since 1968, the nonprofit organization Housing Opportunities Made Equal has been working to solve housing issues. And joining me now is Elizabeth Rich, who is the executive director of HOME, as it is called. Welcome to the show.
Great, thank you so much for having me.
1968, that seems a long time ago, what, 57 years?
Yeah.
But in reality, a lot of the issues taking place then, still taking place now.
Yeah, HOME was founded in 1968. It was the same year that the Fair Housing Act was passed. So we have a tremendous legacy of working in Cincinnati around issues of housing access and opening up housing opportunities for all people. And it's amazing and disturbing that we're still working on similar issues, 57 years ago, issues of race discrimination, tenant issues, really making sure that people have an affordable, accessible place to call home that's free from discrimination. So our mission hasn't changed. In 57 years, our mission has always been to eliminate illegal housing discrimination in the region. We focus on all protected classes, including race discrimination. And we're really working to create and promote stable, integrated communities, because we know that we all benefit when we have places to live and call home. We want to be working on those. We know that we all thrive when we have integrated communities and can live in quality places. So our mission hasn't changed in 57 years, and we're still working on a lot of the same issues.
I think people would believe that race is the primary issue of discrimination, but you were telling me, in fact, persons with disabilities, that's where you're seeing a lot of issues.
Yeah, so the protected classes under the Federal Fair Housing Act are race, color, religion, national origin, which is where you're from or where your family's from, sex or gender, and disability. And disability is the #1 protected class that we're working with. So we see a lot of people with all kinds of disabilities. People have mental disabilities or physical disabilities, and there's a lot of rights and protections for people with disabilities under the Fair Housing Act. So you can request a reasonable accommodation, you can request reasonable modifications. So there's lots of different ways that people can be exercising their civil rights. We see a lot of misunderstanding about disabilities and what civil rights and fair housing protections look like for them. So that's our #1 protected class. We work with a lot of people requesting changes, requesting accommodations. They have a service animal or an assistance animal. They need a designated parking space. They need a generator. They need to make a modification to their homes. And we often see housing providers say, no, we can't do that for you. And yet, under the Fair Housing Act, you have the right to request those accommodations or those modifications. So we work to help mediate some of those issues. We can request those accommodations for people on their behalf. And then if we find evidence of discrimination, then we'll file fair housing complaints. Our second protected class is still race discrimination. We still see a lot of barriers and a lot of systemic issues around how communities of color and people of color can access housing opportunities.
I want to take a break, and then when we come back, I want you to walk me through the process. Let's say if I'm facing an issue, what should I do? Who should I contact? And things like that. All right, we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I'm talking to Elizabeth Rich. She is the Executive Director of Housing Opportunities Made Equal, also known as HOME. You said Cincinnati has its challenges, and that still centers around home ownership and African Americans particularly, huh?
Yeah, one of our signature initiatives we've been working on over the last couple years is the roadmap for increasing Black homeownership. So we found that Cincinnati region has one of the largest gaps between white and Black homeownership in the country. We put together a roadmap that has 6 policy proposals or recommendations for how do we increase and preserve Black homeownership. So we still have about a 40% gap across the region in Black and white homeownership. Black homeownership is around 35% in Hamilton County, which is still startlingly low. And so our recommendations are around how do we increase homeownership for, we all benefit when we have homeowners, and how do we make sure that there are affordable homes available to buy? How are there affordable mortgage products? How are lenders and banks providing access to credit to become homeowners? We see a lot of discrimination that still happens with lending. Race discrimination, we see that a lot in the lending process with mortgage lenders, with appraisers and appraisals. There are systemic challenges, bigger challenges with how people access home ownership. And so that's one of our major barriers in Cincinnati and one of the opportunity areas that we're working on, because we think there are opportunities to increase and preserve home ownership.
Yeah, that's sad to hear, because as we try to make this the best city on the planet, it is hard to do if people hear those type of statistics. Let me shift, because if I believe I have been discriminated against, how should I contact home? Walk me through that process.
Yeah, so we talk to a lot of different people about lots of housing issues. So we encourage people to call home if you have a housing issue. So we do a lot of tenant advocacy and tenant counseling, walking people through what their rights are as tenants. And then we really can help if you feel like you've been discriminated against. So you call home. Sometimes you might not know that it's discrimination, but something just feels off. You think, oh, I'm fully qualified for this apartment. It was available this morning, but this housing provider said, oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not available. Or they ask for, different criteria or screening information. A lot of those kinds of things just might not feel right. Kind of might raise the hair on the back of your neck to say something's not right. So we encourage people to call home. And what we do is we provide counseling. We'll talk to people about their stories, gather information and evidence about what's happening. Oftentimes we call the housing provider and try to mediate an issue. Let's see if we can resolve this. Let's see if we can find a solution. We also do investigation. So if we get a client or someone telling us that there's been instance of discrimination, we'll go out and investigate. We send out testers or secret shoppers or mystery shoppers to see if there's instances of discrimination. And then we provide options about how to enforce the law.
Give your number.
Yeah, you can call home at 721-HOME, that's 4663, or find us online at www.homecincy.org.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Don't be a stranger, because there are a lot of issues out there.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.